Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about situational awareness. Where the bloody heck am I? And what's going on? And who's that kangaroo? So, situational awareness, significantly reducing your chances of being involved in a crash. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Margaret is here. Goose is here from Northern Ontario. Margaret is in Brooklyn. And my friend Mallory is here as well. Teresa is here. And we are talking about situational awareness. So you can see we have some t-shirts for sale as well. If you want to have a Smart Drive Test t-shirt with the tagline, remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. You can head over there and pick that up. And I try and keep them under $30 because I think more than $30 is a bit crazy for a t-shirt. As well, be sure to head over to the Smart Drive Test website and check out the Smarter Driver course package that guarantees that you pass your driver's test first time. As well, the defensive and winter driving courses as well are included in that course package, and you can pick that up for less than $40 USD. And both the winter driving and the defensive driving smart courses will significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. Rocky's here from Windsor, Ontario, and my friend Corey is here from Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I was looking at today, looking at the French communities, because we're going through there this summer in August with my kids who are in French immersion. So we're going to stop there and have a look around. And yes, Veda's here as well. Vinny's here. Hello, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. So basically the way it works here is we do a presentation on situational awareness. I'm going to talk about that. Talk a little bit about defensive driving because situational awareness is all tied into defensive driving. Situational awareness, where are you on the roadway? What are the changing traffic conditions that you are dealing with? A couple of things this week while I was walking, because for those of you who've been around for a while, you know that that I like to walk a lot, and I walk my kids to school and whatnot. And of course, one of my favorite things is to watch other drivers, while they're, driving their vehicles through intersections and those types of things, and note some interesting things of what other people are doing. Rin from Hawaii, hello. My friend Colin is here as well. I think it's Colin. Best Gaming. No, that might be somebody else. Pathfinder, hello, my friend. So without further ado, let's get over to the slideshow presentation. We'll do the slideshow, and then we'll come back and we'll answer any questions you have about driving, becoming a safer, smarter driver, and starting a career as a truck or bus driver, getting your CDL license, your air brakes, defensive driving, driving safely, all of those things. And for some of you now, you're going to be enrolled in the MELT program. And Dr. Rick is going back to school in a couple of weeks because they're bringing in the MELT program here, the mandatory entry-level training for CDL truck drivers, bus drivers, and I have to go back to school to upgrade for that MELT program. So that'll be interesting, and I'll keep you updated about that. So let's get going here on situational awareness. Situational awareness, where are you? It's going to require a different skill set, techniques, and abilities if you're driving out on a highway, on two-lane roads with animals, farm animals, those types of things, intersections and whatnot. And we know as traffic safety professionals that twice the number of crashes happen in urban areas, in cities, but twice as many fatalities happen in rural areas because access to hospitals, the distance from emergency facilities, locating you, getting you there, and those types of things. So there are more fatalities that happen in rural areas. All right, so if you're new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver through the 1990s. While I was going to university in Australia between 2000 and 2006, I drove for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines there, so I have bus line experience as well. 1997, that should actually be 97, not 1998. I became a licensed commercial driving instructor in a bid to come off the highway. And 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne with my doctorate in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. And if you want to know more about me and about starting the YouTube channel in 2015, it's been wildly more successful this month. maybe this month, next month, early next month, we're going to turn over 200,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 30 million views, which is just mind-blowing on the in terms of number of people that are watching the Smart Drive Test videos. So if you want to know more about me and more about my story, you can check that out over at the Smart Drive Test website. New video this week, the DMV tests. So basically it's 150 questions. I go through them and I give you the answers of what those are. I don't really give you any explanation of what the answers are, but you know, there are some funny bits in it as well, because I know how boring reading the driving manuals are and can be. So there's that as well. Completely different thumbnail for this video. I actually hired a graphic designer to do this thumbnail up for me, so I'd be interested to know what your feedback is. Yes or no. Type yes or no in the comments if you like the thumbnail or not. It's a complete deviation from most of the thumbnails on the channel here. So that was the new video. All right, so let's think about situational awareness. Let's think about risk. What is the lesson we can take from different things in our lives, and how do we apply these to driving? You know, the internet is full of all kinds of things about the risks and the dangers of children swimming in pools, and you know, there's building code for pools, and we have to have them fenced in. You know, can't have access and those types of things because children will get over the fences and then fall in the water and drown. And you know, it's usually the completely innocuous things, you know, the things that we don't think are going to harm us that actually in fact do harm us. And the example that I have is kitchen cupboards. You know, you're in the kitchen, you're working away, and you open one of the top cupboards and you forget that it's open, and then you crouch down to get something underneath the bottom cupboard, and then you stand up and you nail the top of your head on the corner of the kitchen cupboard and completely cause yourself to bleed. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of driving. When we're driving, most of us feel safe in our vehicles. We know, as traffic safety authorities and specialists and other people, that cars only crash about once every 14 years. So if they crash only once about every 14 years, you are going to feel fairly safe when you're driving. So the question becomes, when do you have to pay attention, because there are risks involved, and how do you become alert to that danger? Is it just something that you gain through experience, that you've made mistakes when you're driving, or is it something that somebody else told you about and you paid attention to? So what are the consequences when you're driving? Obviously, if you make a mistake when you're driving, or you don't understand the risk of the maneuver or the technique that you're executing at the time, you could seriously get yourself into trouble. And if it's a T-bone crash on a left-hand turn, there's a high probability that somebody in that crash is going to die. So this is what's going to happen. The priorities when driving. When do we need to pay attention? Because there are times that we need to pay attention, that we need to be on complete red alert, as we talked about last week in terms of defensive driving and tying it into the whole, you know, pop culture of Star Trek with yellow alert and red alert. You know, space, the final frontier. Do we have space around our vehicle? Can we allow our attention to wane where we're tuning the radio, or we're changing the CD in the radio, or we're trying to listen to conversation of one of the passengers in the vehicle? So are there times that can happen, right? Do we need to pay attention? Are we managing space effectively around our vehicle, or are we too close to the vehicles in front of us where we've given up control of our vehicle because we're now hoping, as I've said previously, that if you're following too close, you're hoping on a wing and a prayer that you can stop in time if that person in front of you jams on the brake or encounters some sort of emergency that they're responding to. So what is the traffic on the road? What kinds of vehicles are on the road? Are you taking note of, you know, the different acceleration of motorcycles versus tractor trailers? Are you taking note of the different braking? Are you taking note of cyclists and how they're weaving in and out of traffic? Are they staying to the side of the road, and those types of things? So these are some of the things that you need to pay attention when you're driving. This is a picture I actually took last week because there was a woman coming into the roundabout as I've just finished walking through the crosswalk, and I noticed that she has all of her COVID masks hanging off the mirror, and it creates a blind spot in the vehicle. She probably thinks that it isn't an issue and isn't a problem, and I'm standing in the blind spot and I'm thinking, interesting. You have all your masks hanging there and you've created a blind spot in the vehicle with the masks hanging off. So for her, she probably doesn't think that that's something dangerous, whereas myself and Goose and other people who know about driving and have some experience with driving, they're thinking, why would you do that? You know, it's kind of like the old fuzzy dice. You know, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you create another blind area in your vehicle? All right, so first license students are not going to have as much experience as you know, drivers with a few years of experience behind the wheel. CDL students, driving instructors. What is the purpose for learning to drive and get a license? So what is the purpose? Are you learning to drive professionally? Are you learning to just get your license so you have freedom and empowerment? You can go and do what you want to do and get away from your friends and those types of things. So situational awareness, being on a highway, getting rear-ended. Goose says, don't hang stuff off your rear view mirror. Yeah, fuzzy dice kind of went the way of the dodo bird. We don't really see those anymore, but that used to be a big thing in the old days. So situational awareness in terms of all of that and who you are. For driving instructors, the first lesson is really, it's what's called an assessment for learning. The instructor takes the student out and figures out where he or she is in their learning path. Are they at the very beginning in the fundamentals, where you have to do a lot of work with them and they're not really, you know, comfortable with taking on information and implementing that in their driving? You know, they don't really know how to work the primary controls. Do you have to spend some time in the parking lot, you know, getting them to know how to work the throttle and the brake and the steering wheel so that it's, you know, it's not all aggressive and bumpy and you're being rocked all over the vehicle and those types of things. You need to kind of smooth all that stuff out so they're more comfortable on the roadway. And how much information can the student take on? Can I give them a lot of information, or can I, you know, do we have to work on one very specific thing for the duration of one driving test? So situational awareness in terms of the driver's ability. And for many students who are learning in situational awareness and those types of things as driving instructors, we know that a lot of that comes down to, you know, do we have a nervous Nelly or do we have a confident Carl? We have to have somebody that we have to give a lot of feedback to, and you're doing really well and you can do this and those types of things, and really build up their confidence and ability. The theory of defensive driving, which ties into SPOC 3, which ties into defensive driving rather. Social driving, space management, speed management, communication, observation. I've got communication there twice. That's a typo on my part, sorry. So social driving, the pressure of other drivers for you to hurry up and go, and especially for new drivers who don't have a lot of experience when they're driving, this pressure is overwhelming, and this is why a lot of new drivers get into trouble, because they think that they need to hurry up and go because driving is a social activity, and they can feel that pressure from other drivers, especially if other drivers are honking at them or following too close or pressuring them or those types of things. And unfortunately, all of the tenets of social driving are pretty much the opposite of what you need to do for the purposes of a driving test. So you need to drive the posted speed limit. You need to stop at the correct position at stop signed intersections completely, right? So you need to signal effectively and those types of things. So you need to keep all of this in mind while you're learning how to drive, while you're preparing for your driver's test. And if you want to be a safer, smarter driver, you definitely need to keep this stuff in mind. And SPOC 3 is how you remember this: social driving, space management, speed management, observation, and communication. And it ties into Star Trek because you need to keep that space in front of your vehicle. Remember, space, the final frontier. MIT, yellow alert. When you're coming to intersections, we know that more than 40% of crashes happen at intersections. So you really should be on yellow alert. Your situational awareness should go to a higher level, right? Because you know that crashes happen at this location. You need to map the intersection as you're approaching, doing your shoulder checks, because we also, again, we know that social driving, after drivers get their license for 3 or 4 months, they stop shoulder checking. They don't shoulder check anymore when the move the vehicle sideways or when they're turning or those types of things. So as you're moving towards the intersection, you need to be mapping road users through shoulder checking. You need to be tracking them as you're sitting there or approaching the intersection. And you need to be alert to the changes that are going on in the intersection, because the traffic is alternating. One street is going and then the other street is going. You know, sometimes there's slip lanes and turning lanes. So there's a lot of stuff going on at an intersection that you need to be paying attention to, and you very much need to be on yellow alert. So where am I? Where am I sitting in traffic? Am I on a highway? Am I on a freeway? Is there a merge lane? Is the lane that I'm in going to end if I'm on the highway because there's a passing lane, or those types of things? Determining safe gap, because moving in a vehicle is about time and space, and you need to determine that gap, especially if you're going to make a left-hand turn. As I said, for new drivers, this is a danger zone because they have difficulty determining that gap, and it becomes even more critical to be confident in your own ability when you're out on the highway, because you need even more space because vehicles are traveling at a much higher speed. Same thing with merging onto freeways and interstates and getting off freeways and interstates. It's not quite as daunting when you're getting off, but it's a lot more daunting when you're getting on for new drivers. And this is one of the frequently asked questions that I get all the time. And next week I'm going to talk about that in terms of frequently asked questions and whatnot. So different driving environments are going to require a different level of awareness, and they're going to require a different skill set and abilities, and that you're going to need to put in place to deal with that changing traffic situation effectively. So driving instructors know that there's kind of an ebb and a flow to driving, that what is expected of the student. A lot of what we teach in terms of driving is reactionary, is what happens in the driving environment. And somebody asked me that a couple of weeks ago about my videos. They say to me, oh, do you just go out, do you plan these, or do you keep driving around? It's just reactionary. If I drive around long enough, and I put myself in particular situations, eventually I'm going to come up with a video, because I can count on social driving. We know that social driving is incredibly predictable. We know that people don't shoulder check. We know that people don't signal. We know that people don't stop completely. We know that people keep up with the traffic flow. This is all very predictable behavior on the part of drivers on the roadway. So situational awareness and teaching moments for driving instructors when they're teaching new drivers how to drive, regardless of whether that's a brand new driver who's learning how to drive a car, drive a motorcycle, whether it's a CDL driver learning how to drive a bus or a truck. All of this stuff needs to be taught, because despite the fact that CDL drivers already have a license and already been driving a passenger vehicle, there's a lot of learning that goes on for CDL drivers when they get behind the wheel of a big truck or a bus, or whichever kind of vehicle it is that they're learning how to drive to get their license and start making money as a driver. So experiential, where to focus. We need to develop habits that will keep us safe. And I've said this before, it's not a habit that's going to keep you safe tomorrow and prevent a crash, or the next day, or next month, or next year. It might be 5 years from now. It might be 7 years from now that you've continued to shoulder check. You come around on a slip lane, you shoulder check, and there's a car right there that you missed as you were coming around on the first time. So these habits, abilities, and techniques, these defensive driving and situational awareness habits and techniques that you are developing now as a new driver are going to keep you safe. And as I said, it may not be today or tomorrow, but 5 years from now that it will keep you safe. New drivers are also facing the 4 Ds: drinking, driving, dating, and distraction. And we have the distraction here of the person trying to be funny on the comments here about, oh, I'm texting and driving and watching this video. And you can kind of be a little bit afraid, because I have seen YouTube videos where truck drivers, not only are they driving down the road watching a video, because you can see the screen over in the left corner of the windshield, they're driving down the road watching a video as they're going down the road, but they're also filming with their camera at the same time. So think about the amount of distractions that are going on, not just for new people, but screens and vehicles, and people are doing it all the time. Okay, so communication and observation. And then there was this poll I did some time ago now, and it asked basically why young people, new drivers, are more susceptible to traffic crashes, and most people said that it was because of experience, that they don't have the amount of experience that they need to have in terms of, trying to, the experience in terms of hazards, that they can define what a hazard is, they can recognize what a hazard is as soon as they encounter it on the roadway. So there's lots of that going on. So remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So we'll get to question and answers here, and we'll answer any questions you have. I'll get back over here. There we go. Okay. Alan, I have my CDL Class B. Many thanks to your videos and the air brake course. You are most welcome, my friend. That is awesome. Alan, where in the States did you get your license, my friend? Wendy is here. Tucker, hello from Kentucky. Hello, my friend. And Wendy's here, my friend. How are you, Wendy? Blessed is here. Hello, my friend Blessed. How are you, my friend? Brianna, I can't seem to schedule a road test. What should I do? Brianna, where are you in the world that you're trying to schedule a driver's test and you're having challenges with that? Mad King, I have a question. Can I give my driving tests before 12 months after knowledge test in any case? Mad King, can you reword that because I'm not quite following what you're asking, my friend? Mallory, you're absolutely right. Distracted driving is never a good idea. And yeah, if you can put your phone away, and it's not just your phone anymore. It's, it's the telematics in the vehicle. It's the, the infotainment system in the middle of the car that I find distracting. You're changing a CD, those types of things. All of this is very distracting. Brianna, Virginia, you're in Virginia. You're trying to get a driver's test. You can't get a driver's test. Okay, so Brianna, I know that with post-COVID here, it is really tough to get a test date with the DMV. Basically, what I'm going to say to you is just be vigilant. Check into the website every day, call every day. I mean, even if you have to go down to the DMV and say, listen, I can't get a driver's test. Can you help me out? Try to get in on a waiting list if you are having challenges. A lot of DMVs will have waiting lists for students who are trying to book a driver's test. And the other thing, Brianna, if this is an option for you, is that you can go to a driving school, because driving schools have blocks of time each week with the DMV for their students. So they'll have 3 or 4 slots a week. So maybe going with a driving school might get you in a little bit quicker for a driving test as well. Oh, okay, Mad King. No, you have an N and you're in British Columbia. I'm taking it. You have an N. You can't take it before 12 months. Unfortunately, you have to be on your learners for 12 months before you can take the driver's test in the province of British Columbia and most of the provinces in Canada, unfortunately. Absolutely. Exactly what Goose said there. Yes. Always focus on the positive. I can do this. Retrain your brain. It comes back to this, it's the similar thinking of, when you want a new television and it's $1,000 and you say to yourself, I can't afford that. Change that thinking to, how do I afford that? So instead of saying, oh, I can't pass and I've never been successful and I just keep failing and all the time, that's not the question you need to be asking or programming your brain. The question you need to be programming your brain with is, how do I pass? What do I need to do to pass? Who do I need to talk to pass? Who do I need to get a driving lesson from to pass my driver's test? And if that person can't help me, maybe they can send me to somebody else who can help me with my driving test and ensure that I'm successful. Because the only thing that stands between you and success, you and getting a driver's test, is time and space. If you have enough time and you have enough space and you have enough feedback from the right people, you will pass your driver's test. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Chris, hi from Ottawa, Ontario. I passed my driving test at a driving school now on June 17th. I'm going for my G2. Can't wait. Chris, that is absolutely awesome news. I did my driving instruction training there in Ottawa. And all the best with you. And you're going to do awesome, my friend. Jim Bob. Excellent. Okay, thanks, Jim Bob. Pathfinder. No, it's not illegal to follow an ambulance, but you do have to have, I think, most states are going to be 500 feet behind the ambulance, which is, it's a fair distance. It's like a half a block. You just can't get any closer. You don't want to get too close to following an ambulance or another emergency vehicle. All right. Ishan, what specifics should I work on for my ICBC road test? Difference between two-way stops, four-way stops, space management. Make sure that you drive the posted speed limit. Don't get pressured by social driving, that you are going to be, keeping up with the traffic flow, because that's a guaranteed that you're not going to be successful on your driver's test. And work on left turns. Okay. Coop Dog, I'm taking my driver's behind the wheel test on the 6th of July, so you got a month. You're going to do awesome. If you haven't taken driver's lessons with a driving school, Coop Dog, usually what I recommend for students preparing for a driver's test is to take one driving lesson with a driving instructor. In that way, they can do a practice driving test with you, and they'll take you on the specific route that you're going to go on for your driver's test. As well, they'll give you feedback concerning any skills and abilities that you might have to work on or strengthen for the purposes of your driver's test. For example, if you have to work on the difference between two-way and four-way stop signs and how to handle those different intersections, they'll give you some information about that as well. And Corey's done some excellent work here putting up the emergency vehicle video, how to respond to an emergency vehicle, because no, if you do not pull over for the purposes of an emergency vehicle on your driver's test, that's an automatic fail. Top 10 tips to pass your driver's test first time, and 8 more tips and techniques to pass your driver's test first time. Alan, I'm from Florida. I'm a traffic signal technician in Orange County. Awesome. Congratulations, Alan, on getting your Class B. That is terrific news. Absolutely awesome news. Okay, let's see. Who else has we got here? Yeah. Excellent. Jim Bob, if you don't yield to an emergency vehicle on the road test, it's a fail, because if you don't yield, yes, you're absolutely correct, Jim Bob, that if you have to give way to emergency vehicles, whether it's police, ambulance, fire trucks, it might even be search and rescue in some states and some provinces. Know that in the province of Ontario, volunteer firefighters have green flashing lights, and so that marks emergency firefighters in that province. I don't know about other states. Some of the smart drivers may be able to give me some information about that, about states, whether they have different colored flashing lights for emergency volunteer firefighters. Blessed, hi Rick, I hope you and the family are doing well. What kind of car would be reliable to drive or get? Blessed, I recommend either a Toyota or a Honda. They're both good vehicles. And as well, Blessed, Corey will put the video up for you on defensive driving that I put up on Saturday. If you go into the description of that video, there is a list by the, I want to say IIHS. That's the people who do the crash tests on vehicles. They have a list of vehicles that are best for new drivers. And actually, I believe both the Toyota and the Honda did well. And for those of you watching on the replay or watching now, after the video is over, I'll go get that link and I'll put it down in the description for you. So if you're looking for a new vehicle as a new driver, or you're just looking for a vehicle that's got a safety rating or those types of things, look down in the description and I'll put that link for you down there. And I got that link from Tim over at Smart Drive BC, and I wanted to thank Tim for that. I did put that up in the video last week to help people out as well. Terrifical. How does one make sure that it is a two-way stop and not a four-way stop? What if the traffic light is hidden? Okay, so Terrifical, four-way stops. So three-way stops, four-way stops, and all-way stops will almost always have a little regulatory sign underneath that tells you that it is in fact a three-way, a four-way, or an all-way stop. So you'll always know, because just look under the stop sign and it will tell you that. And as well, Corey will put the video up for you on how to deal with stop signed intersections. So if it doesn't have that underneath it, it's a two-way stop. It's just a default that it's a two-way stop. And for two-way stops, major road over the minor road, straight through traffic over turning traffic, and right turning traffic over left turning traffic. If it is a three-way, a four-way stop, or an all-way stop, the same rules apply. First vehicle to arrive. If you're not really sure, just kind of pause and the other vehicle will go first. And then the vehicle on the right if you're not sure, and then the other rules apply. Okay, straight through traffic over turning traffic, and then right turning traffic over left turning traffic at four-way stops. And if any of you are having challenges with four-way stops, because I know that they can be like crazy busy, and you're like, what's going on? Who's on first? Who's on second? Oh my God, what is happening? Go down to the intersection in the morning when it's busy. If you're not a morning person, go down in the afternoon when it's busy, and watch the traffic move through the four-way stop, and you will figure out, you know, how to deal with a four-way stop effectively. Okay. Blessed, what do you think about the Honda Fit hatchback? Yeah, Blessed, I think that'll work for you quite well. I've had people in the past who've had Fits, not like, you know, like not like a Fit, but a Honda Fit. So I think it will do you quite well. The other thing I would suggest, Blessed, is to look that up. Just Google it and have a look at the reviews and see what the reviews are saying. As well, go into some of the mechanics and automotive forums and just see some of the usual things that can go wrong with these vehicles, because there tends to be, over a period of time, the same things that go wrong with the same vehicles after a period of time. So have a look at that when you're looking at the reviews, and then you'll know, you know, if you're buying a 2018 Fit or you're buying a 2011 Nissan. Okay, so you got rid of the Nissan because you were having too much problems with it, but the Honda Fit, you know, just look at it and see. And also, I think with a Honda Fit, I think you're going to get really good fuel economy with that vehicle. So just have a look and see what, you know, what might go wrong with it and those types of things. And actually, Corey's put the link up here in the comments in terms of safe vehicles for teens. Thank you, Corey, for going and getting that. That's awesome. So they have a list of vehicles that, if you're looking, if safety is one of your requirements when you're purchasing a vehicle, definitely have a look at that video, because there's kind of like they have kind of like three categories, which is, you know, the perfect, and then they have kind of the ones that are more affordable, and they have another list. So it's a really great list. Okay. Coop Dog, what advice can you give me to pass my driver's test to be successful? Because I already went to driving school. I'm done with that. Okay. So Coop Dog, manage space around your vehicle. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. Make sure that you have your 2 to 3 second following distance in front of your vehicle. Make sure that you stop in traffic so that you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you, making clear contact with the pavement. Make sure that you're stopping at the correct stopping position at controlled intersections. So before the stop line, before the crosswalk, before the sidewalk. If those two conditions don't exist, then at the edge of the road where the two roads meet. So just before entering the intersection. Those are your correct stopping positions. If you can manage space around your vehicle well for the duration of your test, you are going to do well on your driver's test. That is the key, not only for your driver's test, but after you get your driver's test and continuing to be a safer, smarter driver. Space management is really the key. Blessed, you are most welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for showing up and asking questions. It's always great. Hurriches. I think that's how you say it. After turning left at an intersection, do you need to switch over to the right lane if there is a lane is ending sign ahead, or just keep in the current lane? Okay, so if the right lane's going to end shortly, then yes, just stay in the left lane. Or if the examiner has said to you, listen, in a couple of blocks, I want you to turn left again, then yes, stay in the left lane. Otherwise, when you make a left-hand turn, as soon as you make a left-hand turn on a multi-lane road, then you do need to move back over to the right lane. That's a requirement for your driver's test. And we've all seen the signs, state law, stay right unless passing. And that's a regulatory sign. Regulatory means it's the law. And so stay right unless passing, and that goes for a multi-lane road. And this is why after we turn left, we move back over to the right lane. That's the purpose for that. Jim Bob, to calculate following distance between a stationary. Yes, there you go. Okay, so you got that in place in terms of how to determine following distance. I saw earlier that Rocky left and said goodnight. I didn't get to say goodnight to him. There he is again. Thank you for repeating that, Rocky. I didn't miss you, my friend. Just it's busy tonight here on the live stream, which is absolutely awesome. Marissa, when I'm at an intersection going from one lane to another, do I need to turn into the same connecting lane every time? So, Marissa, yes, I think I know what you're asking me. You're asking me when you're turning right, when you're turning left. It's right lane to right lane. It's left lane to left lane when you're turning, all right? And just buy a Tesla. I don't think Tesla would like you saying that. Brianna, How can I practice for a closed course road test? Brianna, go and get some pylons. You can get them at any industrial rental shop. Ask for delineators. They're the 3-foot, 1 meter tall pylons, and go down to a parking lot. You can go to a church parking lot or a mall parking lot early in the morning or late in the evening and just practice there, and you can practice that. The other thing you can do, Brianna, is at times the DMV will leave the course open, maybe at your driving center, maybe not. I know they do here and other places, and you can go in the evening and practice. If not, you can at least go in and practice your reverse stall parking at the DMV. And I do encourage this for anybody who's practicing for a driver's test. Make sure that you're practicing in and around the DMV where you're going to be taking your test. And if you have to back into the parking space of the DMV, make sure that you practice that, because a lot of these DMVs will have concrete barriers behind the parking spaces. And if you back up and you strike that concrete barrier, that's an automatic fail on your driver's test. So make sure that you don't do that. Make sure you stay out a little bit, okay, on your driver's test. Kaylee, how many driving lessons do you recommend we take? Kaylee, for most people, you know, it depends on the student and how comfortable you are and those types of things. But at least, you know, if you're thinking that you're going to take driver training, I do recommend at least 3 or 4 driving lessons, and that will really help you out. Ramil, you're most welcome. So happy we can help out, my friend. Claudine, how do you get over anxiety in merging and switching lanes on highways? Claudine, it's practice, practice, practice. And what I would suggest to you, Claudine, is to do practice changing lanes in the city and get comfortable with that, because that will make it easier for you when you're moving out onto merging onto the freeway or interstate, because it is a daunting task, right? You got to get the vehicle up to speed. Traffic is moving really quickly. It's a limited, you know, the acceleration lane is limited. It's infinite. You've only got so much room you've got to get in. So what I say is that when you come out onto the on-ramp, pick your spot that you're going to merge into. Okay, so there's the big truck, there's a car behind it, I'm going to merge in between the two of them. So just pick your spot and then aim for that spot. That's a lot easier, you know, than once you get out on the ramp, you're like, oh my God, where am I going to go? When you're coming out and you're looking out on the interstate and the freeway and you see the gap and you're like, I'm aiming for that and that's where I'm going. If you're doing that, your speed will more or less manage that. It'll manage itself. Your foot will just manage it, because you're like, that's where I'm going and I got to catch up to that vehicle. And so, you know, you get your foot into it and you manage that and you get up there, and Corey will put the video up for it, punch it, and that will help you out in terms of merging onto highways, interstates, and freeways. The other piece of advice that I counsel people, smart drivers, try and have a little bit of anxiety around a specific technique or skill, is take somebody with you. Okay, somebody that you trust who is a veteran driver, and they can give you a little bit of feedback as you know you're doing that technique and that skill. So that's the other thing that I recommend as well, to take somebody with you that can help you out. Jimba, you must be in Ontario. It was super hot here last week. We had a couple of hot days that were into the 30s, and now it's like super cold again. I'm like, oh my God, the weirdo weather we got. Poyd, I don't really understand how to turn right on a red at a big intersection. I almost cut someone off. Okay, Corey will put the video up for you on turning right on red lights. And pass your driver's test. First time course package includes both the winter driving and defensive driving smart courses. You can look that up over at the Smart Drive Test website. Corey will put the link in the comments. Have a look at that, because the idea of failing your driver's test absolutely sucks. Course is 100% guaranteed, and even if you live in a spot in the world where you don't have winter, all of the skills and abilities and techniques will help you with inclement weather, fog, rain, sleet, glaring sun. All of the skills and abilities will help you to stay safe in those conditions. So check out the Smarter Driver course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Okay, Coop Dog, what makes you successful at driving? Coop Dog, what makes me personally successful at driving? Yeah, just answer if that's the right. Damon, nice to see you too, my friend. Kaylee, what is the number one mistake that people usually make on their test? Okay, so Kaylee, Corio will put up the 2 videos for you. Most common mistakes on a driver's test and automatic fails on a driver's test. And those 2 videos in combination will answer your question. Mallory, you can never stop learning even after you get your license, driver's license. If you don't know something, you can find out more about that particular driving skill. And that is absolutely true, Mallory. I am learning so much, having the YouTube channel and, 50 states and 10 provinces here in Canada. And, different regulations, different cars. And I mean, we have all kinds of tech coming out in cars and those types of things. And I saw something on Twitter today about the fact that all of these vehicles in the future, all of these new vehicles, auto manufacturers are voluntarily putting on emergency braking for these vehicles. So it's going to be almost impossible, for you to rear end somebody because the brakes and the sensors and those types of things are going to do it automatically for you now. And I'm not quite sure whether the technology's here. Riding in my friend's 2019 Dodge Ram the other day, we're backing up in the parking lot, and all of a sudden it just applies the brakes. And you're just like, wow, that was kind of weird. And he's got a backup camera on it, and there's nothing behind us. So, I don't know whether we're quite just there yet. Micmac, thanks for your videos. I passed my test after 3 tries a month ago. Micmac, that is absolutely awesome news. Thank you so much for stopping back. And I know I saw you before there, and I want to thank you for repeating your comment. That is absolutely awesome. Congratulations on passing after 3 tries, not giving up. You're an inspiration to other smart drivers because, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. That is awesome. Congratulations. Claudine, what's the best technique for driving in tight tunnels like the Holland Tunnel? Claudine, focus on what you're doing and maintain your space. And if you're a little uncomfortable in how tight it is, right, then increase that following distance in front out to 4 seconds. Because if you've got space in front, remember, space buys you time, time buys you options, and options significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. So if you don't have wiggle room side to side, and you probably got some, goofball behind you who's tailgating you, and you're in the tunnel, you're in the Holland Tunnel, or you're in one of the tunnels in Manhattan or other places in the world, then, increase your following distance in the front. That's what you need to do, and that will keep you safe, okay? Jim Bob, Rick, what's the primary role of the fire department? In this day and age, the primary role of the fire department is first responders. They are the first responders to any emergency. And unfortunately, cutting people out of car crashes. Cutting people out of cars after they've had a car crash is what the role of firefighter is. Very few firefighters actually fight fires. They don't fight fires anymore. They contain fires. If there is a fire in a building, they will stop it from spreading to other buildings, and they essentially let it burn down because they don't go into buildings because it's unsafe. So, Coop Dog, I checked the rearview mirror too. I checked the side mirrors over my shoulder every time I switch lanes. Every time I see a red light, I brake smoothly way before light. Awesome. Kendall, should I get a Honda Fit for my first car? Kendall, yes, you should. And Blessed just was talking about a Honda Fit, and she says I checked the site and didn't see the Honda Fit, just got it cause it's a Honda and love the hatchback look. I was okay, so it wasn't recommended, but that doesn't mean, Blessed, that it's not a good car, okay? Do just Google it and go Honda Fit reviews, Honda Fit safety ratings. Honda Fit common mechanical problems. Okay, if you Google those things, and actually now that I'm saying this, I should make a video on this to help you out so you know how to research a car, right? And again, Blessed, you like the look of the car. If you like the look of the car, then go and buy the car, right? It's like I'm looking for a new vehicle right now, and my 3 choices of a new car were the Acura MDX, the BMW X5, and the Audi Q7. Those were my 3 cars that I was going to look at. I drove the BMW X5. I drove the X5. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was just set my passion on fire for a vehicle. The Q7 drove first I drove a 2020 Audi Q7. As soon as I sat in it, I went, I don't like this. Ugh. Didn't like it. And I thought maybe it was the year because they said they had a major change in terms of the Audi Q7. Drove the Acura MDX, liked the Acura MDX. It was a great car, but it's a family car. And, you know, it's not really sporty. It's not like the X5 that's, you know, simple but elegant. And then last week, there was another Audi Q7. It was an 11 out here at the Nissan dealer. I had to take the Honda in and do some work. So anyway, the Q7 was there. Took it for a drive again, and it's the weirdest little things about cars. It was a 10-year-old car, and the chrome plating in the middle where the console was had come loose, and it was bubbling, and it looked like tinfoil. And I said to the salesperson, I said, you know it's a stupid little thing that this looks like tinfoil, but I said, this is the very reason I don't want this car. This is the very reason I don't want this car. In combination with the fact that when I drove the X5, it was a twin turbo, you know, the BMW screw twin turbo, which is something to do with they can make the turbocharger act more like a supercharger. So when you hit the X5, it just went. Whereas the Q7, you put your foot on the throttle and it goes, yeah, okay, we'll go. Right? When it's got that little pause, I'm like, and I'm just like, if there's a vehicle that you want, if you want a blue car, you don't care what make it is, but you want a blue car, there are thousands of cars on the market. Get yourself a blue car. And it's the same thing. I could have bought the 2011 Q7. It was a nice car. It was a beautiful car. But, it's a luxury vehicle. I'm like, no, I want an X5. I'm going to save my pennies up and get myself an X5. I'm going to get the car that I want. Right? So get the car that you want. Veta, RAV4, yes, is definitely good. Coop Dog, you're going to do well. Just imagine the win. You're going to win the car. Kendall, do a video on how to search for cars. I will. I've done a couple of videos already on how to do cars, but I haven't done an actual one on how to actually do the research on the internet, but I will do that for you. Okay, Jim Bob, I'm thinking of getting a Ford F50. Yep, excellent. Rin, in Hawaii, there's a highway called the H3 that goes up a large mountain into a tunnel. I'm often terrified because it's so high up, especially on a curve where I can see how high I am. Okay, so Rin, when that happens, because where I live here in British Columbia, we have lots of mountain roads, and I've been in those places. Focus on the road. Focus looking up. Okay, don't look over there. Where you could drive off the edge of the road and those types of things, but look where you want to focus on. Don't focus on where you don't want to go. Focus on where you do want to go. That's what you need to do. Okay, it's so much like life, right? Focus where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. Okay, so that's what you need to do. Jaden, what do you think of my profile picture, by the way? McDonald's ATM in Fort Myers. Okay. I've seen that American flag before that's black. What is that about, Jaden? Terrifical. Is it a fail if one doesn't resume normal speed after crossing school zone? It's not a fail, but they may say, you're driving a little slow, and they might kind of give you a poke and say, hey, go. But Terrifical, you should know where the school zones are and when to resume speed. Okay, Muche, I have a question about parking on an incline with a manual transmission. I've read that the engage gear should be opposite to the slope's direction. So first gear on uphill and reverse on downhill. I believe in one of your videos you said the first gear in both cases. Muche, whatever your driver's handbook says, if that's what they say, the opposite gear to the direction of the slope, then do that. Okay, don't go with what I said. But as long as you're in gear, with the parking brake engaged, you're going to be fine. But if that's what your driver's handbook says, then do that. Okay, just do whatever your driver's handbook says. But like I said, as long as you're in gear, you're going to be fine. It's the blue. It supports our men and women in the law enforcement and the ones who have fallen in the United States. Okay, excellent. Blue or black, AK. Because I saw that 3 years ago when I went down to do the video with Jen, and we were in Washington State. So now I know what it means. Thanks for that, Jaden. All right. My road test is November 10th, and I'm determined to get this first time because of the current backlog in BC system. It's not just BC, everywhere. We had another smart driver here who was in Virginia and was having trouble getting a license test at one of the DMVs. Yeah, so it's tough to get driver's license tests right now, for sure. Okay. Epic, excellent tips here. And if you're in a crowded parking lot, is there a way to make a left side reverse stall park maneuver safely, or otherwise you're going to have to park the car forward? Sometimes, Epic, it's just easier to park the vehicle forward, as opposed to doing that on the blind side and then just back out. I mean, sometimes it's just easier. I don't always back into a parking spot. A lot of times I will just drive into a parking space. Kendall, I have my driving school tomorrow, session 1. Awesome. Good luck with that. You're going to do great. Rin, what is the best way to park on a decline during a driver's test? Because it's an automatic fail here if we jerk the car in any way. You just want to be smooth, and, you might have to use the handbrake to, try and smooth it out and those types of things. But if you haven't been to the DMV already and practice parking there, I would strongly encourage you to go and do that and park in the DMV parking lot after hours. Don't do it when they're open. Do it after hours, and that way you're going to be able to know how to do that and learn how to do that smoothly. Micmac, to all those who will take their road test, I suggest taking your test at the driving school. Also get an hour driving lesson just before taking the road test. It will give you confidence before the test. Yes, that is excellent advice, Micmac. I do encourage that as well. Jaden, I had to do private security check at my work for my boss who was out of town, so he's happy that I checked him, but I did stop. Excellent. All right, Jaden. Okay, and one other funny story. Not really a funny story. It kind of threw my week off. So jiu-jitsu, you guys know I do jiu-jitsu. My kids have gone back to jiu-jitsu. My coach has another school, a training school in Grinrod, which is about 30 minutes up the road here. And Thursday we're going to Grinrod, and I'm like, the buggy needs the oil changed in it. And I've changed the oil in the buggy 100 times, and I thought, that'll take me about 20 minutes to change the oil in the buggy. So I drain the oil out of it. I go down to the auto parts shop here. I go to Lordco and get an oil filter for it. Come home, dump the oil out of it, put the plug back in the oil pan, screw the filter back on. And in retrospect, I was like, the filter feels a little weird, because normally when you put an oil filter back onto an engine, it spins on for quite a length, because the tube that goes into the oil filter on the back of the engine is about this long. So you got to wind it on quite a bit. It probably takes 10 or 15 complete spins before the oil filter goes completely on the engine. And it felt a little weird. So anyway, filled the motor back up with oil, backed it up, and I was like, I probably should just kind of start the engine up and check it. Because sometimes I get lazy after I check the oil and I don't start it up. And for whatever reason, it was good that I did, in fact, start the engine up, because I started the engine up, looking underneath the car, and 5 liters of engine oil is just pouring out onto the driveway. And it turned out that the oil filter was defective, which is totally weird. And then, of course, I go down to the auto parts store and I take the oil filter back, and I'm like, the filter's defective. And by this time, I'm completely rattled. There's oil all over the driveway, and all the oil spilled out of the car. And this late 20s service person behind the counter starts giving me a lecture about he used to work at an oil shop, one of these quickie lube places, and that I had done it wrong. And I'm like, I've changed the oil in cars since I was a kid. I said, don't tell me that there's something wrong. And he's like, it might have been, the gasket might have been doubled. He said, the gaskets never come off the filter. He said, the gaskets come off the filters all the time. I've never seen there's a rubber gasket inside the oil filter. In all of my years, I've never seen one of those come out of a filter. And it actually came out of the new filter. Anyway, they give me a new filter. Long story short, put the new filter on. It was fine. Filled the car back up with oil. But I didn't really, because I was so rattled, that this had happened with the engine, that had never happened before. That when I went down, I bought another jug of oil. But anyway, my friend said to me, he gave me a ride down to the auto store. He said, you shouldn't have to pay for that jug of oil, because the jug of oil was $30. You know, in amongst the lecture that I should just take it to a quickie lube and have them do it instead of me doing it, which is probably true at this point in my life. And so the next morning I went down to Lordco and I said, hey, you know, the filter was defective because I put the new one on and I said it was fine. And I said, you know, but there's 5 liters of oil all over my driveway running down the gravel lane at the back of the house. And they, you know, they didn't even balk. They gave me my money back for the jug of oil and covered the expense of that. So it was, you know, it was really good. But, you know, drama. And then, of course, we're late going to Grinrod, 30 minutes up the road to get the kids' class. We get up to the north end of town, and there's a crash out on the highway, and the traffic's backed up into town, and I had to go around in through the back way. So we were a little late on the little expedition there. So, you know, as new drivers, you know, engaging on all of the possibilities of learning how to drive and all these things that go on in your life and whatnot, these are some of the little stories that you're going to have to tell other people and whatnot when what happens. So there we go. Damon, by what logic is the term advanced green arrived at? Is that just a Canadian thing, or is there a method of madness? No, Damon, I've heard them called advanced greens in many other places, Australia and whatnot, but advanced green just means that the left turning traffic is advanced. It's before other vehicle. That's basically what advanced means. Okay, Mallory, what is the importance of covering the brake? Mallory, the importance of covering the brake is to cut down your reaction time, because most drivers, your reaction time is approximately 3/4 of a second. So if you, for example, you're going through an intersection and you see a pedestrian that just about stepped off the curb, you're going to cover the brake in case they don't step back up onto the sidewalk to safety, and that way you're going to cut down your reaction time. You're going to be ready in case something happens. Blessed, I got the Honda Fit 2018 in white. I wanted a dark color but had to get what I can afford. You should have waited, Blessed. You should have got your dark color, the one you wanted. But you got a white one. That's awesome. You know, and saying that, Blessed, I'm not really a white person either, but there was a BMW X5 that I was looking for on the Auto Trader, and it was in my price range, and the vehicle had less than 60,000 kilometers on it, which is about 35,000 miles. I would have driven a BMW X5 in white, even though white's not really my most favorite color. Respect, you are the reason I got my license. You helped me so much. Thank you so much. You're the best. I have no more anxiety driving. Like, seriously, thanks so much. And you are most welcome, my friend. I'm so happy to hear that we can help out. And thank you for stopping back and letting us know. That's really awesome. Really, really awesome. Vegan, how do you clean the oil off the driveway? Vegan, the good news about the oil was normally I change the oil in the garage, and had I been changing the oil in the garage, there would have been just an awful mess. But you can put kitty litter on it. That will clean up the oil. Now, fortunately, I was parked in the driveway next to the gravel. We have an alleyway behind the houses here, and there's a gravel alleyway. I just washed it into the gravel alleyway because it'll just keep the dust down out there. So, but kitty litter, if that happens to you in future, you just put kitty litter down on it, and that'll soak it up. Okay? Abigail, watching from Texas. Hello from Texas. That's awesome. Great huevos rancheros there in Texas. Okay, so we're getting near the end here. We're going to wind up here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your comments. If I didn't get to you, comment. If you have a question, leave a comment down in the comment section. We'll be sure to get to you. Be sure to check out the Smarter Driver course package. Includes defensive and winter driving smart courses over at the Smart Drive Test website. You can pick that up for $37.95. Click over here. You can get that, pick that up. And if you passed the driver's test in the last couple of weeks, congratulations on that. That is absolutely awesome. If you have a driver's test coming up this week, good luck on that.
Can I talk?
Not yet. Good luck on that. And remember, And remember, Scout is here. Hello, Scout.
No, that's my pockets. They have a secret.
There's a secret in your pockets.
No.
Do you have
A whole pile of chocolate chips?
Oh, chocolate tips. You don't have rockets in your pockets?
No.
No rockets in your pockets.
And
Are
make
you going to say
sure
hi?
you check out Daddy's new video. The test. It's like a test.
Yep.
Daddy was very stressed over that. Or whatever.
Good night, Corona. All the best. I'm probably not saying that, Rick. Yeah, Corey, our Jaden.
What is Jaden?
Cape Coral for not giving me respect.
Bro, you're just chewing like a pig all the time.
Okay, you guys are just going to eat here. You can go.
No!
This is not the place for eating.
No!
All the best, Scout. Not cool. Okay? All the best. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. All the best.
We are awesome!
Yes, you are. Okay. Hi, Margaret. I think I forgot to say hi to Margaret. Hello, Margaret.
Hello, Margaret.
Corona, awesome. That's great. Everybody have an awesome night. We'll talk soon, and we'll see you during the week. Cheers.
Boom. I'm awesome.
Why is